Yeah,
I think as
definitely
long as
not.
you're on Earth, you have some work to do.
Oh yeah,
Not
well that's
work,
the
but
purpose. Like
stuff to learn.
I listened to a podcast recently and someone said this was like this blew my mind. It was amazing. Someone said the whole reason why we're here is because God or source is doing shadow work. That's
Mm,
the whole reason why we exist.
yeah. We're the
And so
fingers of
like
God and we're having
yeah,
experiences.
yeah, and so like all of that negative stuff or whatever that source or God is working through is projected through us. And by
Yep.
learning, we're just like expanding the universe and expanding knowledge, but it's not always going to be easy. So it's a beautiful thing in the long run, but when you're in it in the moment, it doesn't seem that way. You
Right. Ah, yeah, that truer words were never spoken.
know?
Do you want to talk about some ET stuff?
Oh yeah, that's a whole nother. I feel like we could talk for hours.
Yeah, well, we have.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a funny story from last night. So I was out in my backyard, and I like I see light ships in my backyard pretty much on a nightly basis. If I go out there, they're like, okay, she's out there, psh, 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 flashing and
Yep.
doing stuff. And I don't, I just, I don't, it's just the way my life is now. It's not like,
Mhm. Me
I
too.
don't freak out in adoration. I'm not like, oh my God. It's just kind of like, oh, it's my buds up there. Like,
Hmm.
I don't, and I don't know. I don't, people have said that they're like you talk about it so casually, and I'm like, well, I don't really know how else to talk about it. It's just like it's just
Hmm.
what happens. But
Yeah.
anyway, so I was out there hanging out and then watching some ships, and for a second there I was like, are these all just satellites? Am I just joking myself? Am I just deluding myself into thinking I'm looking at all of these UFO crafts? And maybe a minute and a half after because sometimes everyone doubts,
Hmm.
everyone doubts when they see weird stuff like that. But I just had that thought cross my mind, and then I looked over to the left, and then I looked up again, and there was one of those little orbs that you can tell the difference because they kind of
Oh
wobble a
yeah.
little bit. They
Yep.
start, and
They don't go in a
sometimes
straight line.
you can see the Merkaba kind of like spinning
Hmm.
and like generating. And so one kind of like comes wobbling up, and it comes directly over my head, and then it shoots up,
Oh
turns
wow.
90-degree direction. And I think that was them being like, hello, satellites don't turn 90-degree directions,
Mhm.
silly.
I actually have because
I just
I love
laughed.
to go satellite watching too because I love to
Mm.
watch like the Starlinks. They're so pretty, and
Oh
the
yeah,
Starlink
the big
trains. They're like
trail.
yeah, it's crazy. So I have an app that
Oh
has all
yeah,
the
me too.
locations of the satellites. So
Mm.
I can, tell the difference if it's a satellite or not. And also,
I
like you
used to
said,
check it all the time. I don't bother anymore. I'm just like,
yeah, because
I can
like
tell, I can
if
feel
you
the
ask
difference.
for a sign, they'll
Hmm.
give you a sign. Like, like
Oh yeah.
I've had ones like I've seen satellite after satellite, and then there's one that flashes, and then it glows and then it disappears. It's like satellites don't
Hmm.
do that, planes don't do that. So and then like with the experience that I had, visiting the Bledsoes, which was a whole another thing we could get into. It has healed my religious trauma so
Mm.
much. Like after I got back from visiting with the Bledsoes and seeing all those hundreds of orbs, I've been praying nonstop. Like my whole life is a conversation.
Mm.
And the second I pray about something, it happens. Like
So
within
sorry to
10
interrupt.
minutes.
Okay. Describe like, what's your description of prayer? Like, what's prayer for you?
Um, so this is, like prayer is something that is what is a hard word for me, I will say. I've I've had a lot of experiences, like I've seen like a lot of spirits and stuff in my life, and especially people after they pass will come to visit me. And my great aunt, she basically raised me. She was the only one that like really never tried to make me a different person. Um, when she passed, she came to me and in a dream, and she said, "You need to realize the power of prayer." And I just set that aside. This is like two and a half years ago. I
Mm.
couldn't even think about it because I have so much religious trauma, and I always hate when people are like, "Oh, I'll pray for you." You know, like I'll pray for you. And it's just like, no, just stop. Like please don't say it if you don't mean it. And so I was just having these like weird things that would happen, these weird reminders. Like I went to visit my grandma and she set out this mug like with my stuff. And she's like, this isn't mine. I thought it was yours. And it had like pray without ceasing like written all around it. And I was like,
Hmm.
that's so weird. And because it wasn't either of us, but it just like ended up in my stuff and just weird signs. And so when I went to see the Bledsoes and met them and spent, like 3 days with them and went sky watching, there was two notable moments I had, but one of them was Chris Bledsoe was talking about prayer. We were out on the beach at night, around like 9:30 at night, and he just says, "Call out to the Holy Spirit." And the second he said that, an orb came down above our heads, and it is the brightest thing that anyone has ever seen. And you could see it spinning, and it
Hmm.
was changing colors, like it was like every color of the rainbow. And all of us just people were like screaming with happiness. We were crying. It was like this insane feeling that you probably get when you see the orbs. We all like get this like reverence. And this thing spoke to me in my mind,
Hmm.
not with words. Um, it's still pretty emotional for me to talk about, honestly. It showed me some stuff about myself, and like reminded me some stuff about myself, and told me that it had never left me and that I was here for a reason, and healed all of my trauma in a split second. Um, and ever since then, I've just been talking with it nonstop. And I'll, ask it certain things like, just being like, reveal my purpose for today or how I can help. And weird things will happen, like at work. Like, I'll have someone come up to me and just be like, hi, like my husband just passed away. And they'll tell me this stuff and they'll cry and we'll like have like this like healing session just at work or just weird thing. Like, I'll have these things be revealed to me. Like, one of them was like I've been asking for a while to learn about it sounds crazy, but like cattle farming. I really want to get into like farming. And I was praying about it of like send me someone that can teach me this stuff. The next day at work, there was this guy that came in and he just called out to me and he was like, "Hey, we need to talk about cattle farming." And he told me his son was like the top roper in the world. And he has like this like $5 million ranch where they breed miniature Highland cows, which are my favorite cows of all time. Like me and my
They're
partner
so cute.
like obsess over them, and they're gonna allow me to apprentice with them.
Oh
Like,
wow.
and this just like happened the next day. I'll
Hmm.
have weird things where like when I was like struggling with money, I would fill up my car with gas and then like sit down in the car and be sent to the penny the same amount of money
Oh,
just
wow.
by like some random like weird things like that I can't explain. And so it's been a conversation. And I also ask, the Holy Spirit, and this is not necessarily in a biblical sense, it's just the word I use, right? But I also ask, and I see her as a woman, like to me, she appears as like Hathor. And I ask her, show me, like if I forget that you're there and I stop talking to you, give me a sign. And it's like every hour, like when I start, doing my job or the things I'm doing, she'll just give me a sign that she knows that I'll know it's from her. And we just start our conversation back. And so my whole life is prayer. Like ever since I got back, it has never stopped being prayer. It's the first thing I do when I wake up, and it's the last thing I do when I go to sleep at night.
Wow.
And I've
Wow.
I've never like my religious trauma, like I would never even be able to use that word before until I just had that healing experience, and now I'm like not afraid of it. Just like this is what it is.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I I do. I mean, I talk to myself, I talk to my guides, I talk to the universe. I don't, yeah, like when you're a kid, you always here, let me plug my computer back in. Um, You always think of prayer as being like, dear God, give me this thing. I want this thing. Thank you. But
Hmm.
it's
Well, that's how it's taught. And that's the thing, like another thing with the telepathy tapes that really stood out to me was when I was little, my favorite thing to do was be on the swing because when you're swinging, your soul feels like it leaves your body. You know, it's like how you feel when you're doing astral travel work. And
mm,
so I would swing and I would get visions as I was swinging because it allowed me to connect. And I would see a quilt of colors, and each strand would be a voice, and they would all talk at the same time.
oh
But
wow.
if I tuned in to the strand, I could hear what it was telling me, and it was like the Akashic records, but they each voice was like an angel, and they would tell me, they would teach me things that like I couldn't know at that
Mm,
age. And so I would go inside after I would finish swinging, and I would tell my mom, I just met with the angels out there, and she she told me just like a few months ago that she believed me. She always believed me, but she didn't know what to do with it. Because
mm,
I wouldn't lie, you know, I would go out there, and they would, another thing that the angels would do, that's just what I call them, but you know, the spirits or the guardians, um, the ones that are in the orbs, they would they would teach me songs, like they would send me music, and so I would write music, and it would, you know, people would say like, "Oh wow, you wrote that song. It's so beautiful." And I'd say, "No, I just wrote it down. Like they just gave it to me. I was given this song."
mm,
And I had this like they would speak through music. When they would speak to me, it was like a choir. And that was one thing that like Chris Bledsoe said about these beings. When they talk, it's like an ancient choir. And when I heard that, I got like full body chills. And then the telepathy tapes, like these kids would go and meet with angels and they'd communicate like with song. And when I got into church and I was in like Awana, which, you know, has like a lot of people, the people my age, like millennials in Awana, have bad religious trauma. They would tell me, they were like, that's not real. And they would be like, this is what you have to say when you pray. You have to ask for this. It's very like A, B, C, D. And then you have to end in, oh, in Jesus'
transactional.
name. And there's no connection there. And so they really like, you know, put out my fire. Like I was praying every day in my own way, but I didn't have that word for it. It was just what I did. It was just what I did when I wasn't with people. I was just in conversation all the time. And when the church stepped in, it removed that for me, and it separated me. And when that happened, I had this horrible abandonment wound because I lost my connection with my guardians, and they were there, but I couldn't hear them. I couldn't see them because I was
Mm,
so traumatized. So I had this horrible abandonment wound. And so when I saw the orbs, and I'd seen them before, but they spoke to me. They gave me these like mental images when I was there visiting the
mm,
Bledsoes. And when they spoke to me, they showed me that stuff. They showed me how, you know, when I was sent here, I was in contact with them, and how they told me that they would never leave me alone. And that was like one of our agreements coming to Earth. They were like, we'll be here. All you have to do is ask. But I just stopped asking. And they told me, they're like, we knew that there would be a time. And another thing they told me is like, me meeting with the Bledsoes was something that we had agreed upon before I came to Earth. They were like,
mm,
this is going to be the moment that you realize, you know, that we're here. We've always been here. And they told me that like everything I went through was necessary and that it was all part of the plan. And
right.
when I saw them, like when they told me that stuff, I felt angry at first. I was like, I went through the whole range of emotions. I was pissed off because I was like, how dare you all like leave me? And then they showed me, they were like, you were never ever alone, not for a split second. And it was just really intense. And it's even hard to like put into words like what happened, you know, when I was there. Um, but they healed a lot of stuff for me. And now I would say the struggle was coming back from that and incorporating that into my daily life because both like me and my partner was there with me, and he's been seeing orbs like since he was 17,
Mm,
since his dad passed away. He had a traumatic event and he started seeing orbs, and not just orbs, like other craft and, you know, just weird stuff. But he was there, and when we both came back, it was really hard. We were depressed for like 2 weeks because we had just like experienced this like stuff that was so life-changing, and then we were just expected to like go back to our regular life. And like, how do you
Yeah.
do that? You know, it's
Yeah,
really hard.
it is. It is after you've had a huge like paradigm changing moment like that. Like, how do you? Yeah, I remember the first time I ever saw a craft when I was in Traverse City, which is downstate, and it was this like I can't even describe it. It was so incredible, and I just saw it, and then I did get a message. It wasn't verbal, it was energetic, but it was, you know, it was kind of similar to what you just described. But it was just this like incredible experience. And then you walk back in the house and you're like, "Hey babe, how's it going? Oh, everything's fine. Everything's back to normal." Like, "Oh, you watching Netflix? Let me get
Hmm.
in on that." You know, it's like, how do you it's weird. It's almost like a bifurcation, you know,
Hmm.
that's another I think that's another level to this whole thing. Like, how do you embody this stuff? How
Hmm.
do you mm, like I understand it logically, but then there's another level of understanding that's like on a cellular level. And then it's like, how do you keep your heart open at all times, you know,
Yes.
with your eyes open and dealing with society and going grocery shopping and like it's a it's for the masters, you know. I guess that's what we are.
Yeah.
That's
And
that's
for
what
me,
being
it's
here
like,
is, mastering it.
oh, absolutely. Like that's honestly, we are supposed to balance the mundane and the divine. Like that's the whole reason why we're here. And that's been
Mhm.
another thing that I've coming back from all that stuff. I've really like waken up to is I'm supposed to connect and harness that to be able to show other people in the
Mhm.
mundane life that they're capable of doing the same thing. And so like even I just I got assigned to just get like a regular job, in a plant nursery. And I think part of the reason why I was like given that signal was I was isolating so much. Like I was in my monk state or my hermit phase, like the hermit card,
Mhm.
for like 2 years of discovering myself, discovering who I am. And I'm at the point now where it's like, okay, I need to get out into the world. And the sole purpose really of me having like a regular job is just to practice this stuff in the mundane and
Mhm.
practice the manifestation in the mundane. And I do like set up my life where I don't allow myself not to be tuned in. Like I do certain protocols that just work for me, and it's really whatever works for you. Like I do breath work, like Kundalini yoga breath work on my lunch break. So I in the morning, like I usually don't eat anything, and like I fast all morning. It just helps me connect better. And I'm praying all day while I'm at work. I'm communicating with the bees and the flowers, and I work in a plant nursery, so I get to be very, in tune with nature. And on my lunch break, I go out in my car and I turn on my frequencies and I do my breath work, and I come back in and I'm good to go. It's like I feel totally in tune. And, it's really crazy. Ever since I had these experiences, I've had customers cuss me out, yell at me, just for things that weren't my fault. Like they were just mad at the company. And I literally, it's like, like a waterproof jacket, like it rolls right off of me. And I just
Wow.
sometimes don't even remember that it happened until I'm home and I'm like, whoa, like old version of me would have absorbed this, and just like dwelt on it. But now I'm just like, I just literally don't care,
That's awesome. See, that's
So
like
it's changed my
that
life
is
so much.
true mastery right there, you know?
And obviously, some days are harder than others, but
Mhm.
I really just, yeah, because the way I view it now is like the people who are who need my help will find me. They will.
Mhm.
And the ones who are closed off are going to go on their way. And that's not my burden. They're not ready. And that's okay. That, it's not right or wrong. It's just where they're at. And
Right.
it's not my responsibility to control that. It's their journey.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Oh, brother, we're at 126:46. What do you think?
Oh, how long do you normally go?
Like an hour, a little bit
Okay,
over. Yeah.
cool. Well, I'll finish off by just talking about some of the journal stuff I'm doing because
Oh,
I
okay.
am
Oh,
supposed
yeah.
to do. the link to that, and I'll do like a discount code for everyone too
Oh, okay.
for like
Oh, that's so nice of you.
but it's just like a passion project that I'm doing. So what I'm doing is making workbooks, and all of them are for like not just beginners, but also just if you want to work on this stuff like manifesting or energy work, like daily. There's like journal prompts and there's affirmations. For me, I love to like write out my affirmations daily. It like magnifies my manifestation. And so
Mm.
one that I've been working on for months that I just finished is like vampire magic. So it's learning how to tap into different energy fields around you and how to like harness, energy and how to feed other people to like give other people energy. And it's not like a lot of people think vampire magic is like negative. It's not like it can be used for like a lot of good. And it's just like the basics of energy work. So it's like a 33-page workbook that has like affirmations and daily journal prompts and all that sort of stuff. But
Okay.
I just like got it done and gonna get it like on Etsy, and so I'm gonna make it like super cheap. And it can be printable or digital. So if you have like an iPad, you can write it out every day, or if you can just print it, like it's a printable copy as well that you can just like write,
Awesome.
manually. But the next one I'm making is like a money manifestation one. So like working on, building up like how to manifest, physical things, because that's important. Learning how to do that and learning
Hmm.
how to detach emotions from that as well. And just realize
Awesome.
that we are powerful. We can, create anything that we need. So
Absolutely. Do you have a printed version of it now, or?
yes, I finished it, or I don't have like a printed one with me.
Oh, okay.
But I'll give you like the link before you post, this. And
Okay.
so you can put it in the description, and I'll give, like a coupon code and stuff for anyone who
Yay.
wants
I
to
want
try it.
one. I want to check it out. That sounds great.
Yeah.
Um, okay. Well, I guess we'll end this. I would love to do another episode with you and we could talk about dream work.
Oh, absolutely. Like we can just keep on going, doing episodes and talking about, because
I
there's so
know
much
I can
stuff we
talk
didn't
I
cover.
can talk to you all day, honestly. Um, all right, Benny, we gotta get going, buddy.
Yeah,
Say
he's right
goodbye,
here in my
little
hand.
friend. Bye, Benny. Oh, you're so cute. I love you, Benny. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching this episode. And I'll put all of Andy's description and all of his links and stuff at the bottom if you want to purchase his workbooks or check him out on, geez, he's flying all over the place.
Yeah, he is.
Check him out
It's probably
on social media. The bird is incredible. So I'll see you guys later. Bye. All right.
bye.
Bye.